literally the minute I turned on the camera, someone started using the blender upstairs and there's been no one here all day. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be about kind of why I didn't upload a video since January and kind of what crazy things have happened in my life since then. So yeah, my last video was before the one that I just uploaded was back in January. It was about like Adelaide and cycling in Adelaide. And at that time I was living in Sydney and I'd just gone to Adelaide for a week, and I'd been au pairing in Sydney and I was interning in Sydney and living the Sydney dream life. It was amazing now that I look back on it. So yeah, but then things literally just kind of didn't take it, I wouldn't say took a turn for the worse, but they definitely just kind of, things just kind of blew up. And you know, I think it had been building up for quite a while. So yeah, I'm gonna do a few videos on it. What I hadn't talked about like in any of the videos that I was doing when I was living in Sydney was how crazy my au pair living situation actually was. And I'm gonna make a separate video like particularly about what went on and what happened, and it's just like mind-blowing and involved crazy stories. But around about the end of January, beginning of February, it was like getting to a stage where I was like, I gotta leave. I was supposed to have like 2 weeks notice to move out of that au pair place that I was living in then, until I found something else. But yeah, that didn't happen, and I was told last minute that I just had to leave like 2 days later. So I had nowhere to stay. I had like my part-time job. It was about 20 hours a week. And it was still, you know, waitressing is still quite, you know, exhausting. So no matter how much you're doing, you're still gonna feel it. So I spent a week basically just like, you know, staying with friends. I can't even remember. I can't even remember actually that week where I stayed. Anyway, I was basically on pull-out beds, friends' pull-out beds, couches for about 10 days, and it was so stressful because like, first of all, like I have the most amazing friends in Sydney who let me stay with them. Like really, I can't be more grateful and more lucky for how many people like open their homes to me in the lead up to, in the aftermath of all this. So yeah, I stayed with friends for 10 days and then I got a new au pair placement. Now, it was a part-time au pair placement, and this was about mid-February, and I had already planned on leaving Sydney in May, I think, in April. I put a deposit down in January on a yoga teacher training course in India for the month of April. So I was going to leave Sydney at the end of May, and you know, I'd calculated that I'd have enough money to pay the rest of the yoga teacher training course with like part-time au pairing, part-time waitressing. I was gonna have enough to pay for India. But then when, you know, I had to leave my au pair situation and I was just suddenly, you know, homeless until I got the new placement. The new placement didn't work out at all. Like, we both knew that kind of like, I said that I would stay for 6 months, so they were kind of looking for someone long term, when I was really only planning on staying 6 weeks until I could get a bit of cash together to go to India. I asked the restaurant, will they give me full-time hours? And they said, yeah, we'll give you full-time hours. And I said, great, that means I can like move into my own place, I don't have to do au pairing anymore, and I can afford India, and I can stay in Sydney to the end of my visa. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna be living with one of my very close friends in Sydney who's also vegan. And so yeah, it was all looking really well. I told the person that I was au pairing for that I was gonna move out, and she's like, okay, that's fine, you know, you have until Monday, and it was like Friday, and I was like, fine, you know, I was expecting the lease to be approved, I would move in, and I would start full-time hours, and you know, life would just go back to normal. And it was like a Friday, I think. I went into work and there had been a fire. There had been a fire in the kitchen, and the whole thing had pretty much burnt down. That same day, my lease also fell through because I haven't rented somewhere in Australia before, and the landlord wasn't keen on having someone who hadn't rented before or something. So yeah, that really sucked. In the same day, my lease fell through, and my new job pretty much fell through. So I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? So basically, I had 6 weeks to save up all this money to go to India. So I decided that, look, I had to make a decision. I was about to move out of the like au pair place where I was staying, because we'd already like decided that I wasn't going to stay there anymore. And I only had part-time work, like barely part-time work. Like they had a small cafe part of the restaurant that they were keeping open, but you know, they had a whole staff to give hours to, full-time hours to, so it was really difficult. Everyone was getting like only 20 hours a week, if even. Some weeks I was only getting 15. So I was like, look, the only way I'm going to be able to afford to go to India and save up enough between now and then is to not pay rent for the next 6 weeks. So basically I was like, right, I just made the decision. I was like, I want to go to India, so I'm just going to throw myself into it, work really hard. It's going to be so difficult switching places like all the time over 6 weeks, but I kind of lined up where I was going to go, and I like really committed to it. And I was like, look, it's a bit of an adventure, it's a bit of fun. Well, it wasn't a bit of fun, but you know, I was trying to tell myself that it was going to be fun, you know. So yeah, that's what I did pretty much for 6 weeks. Off, I packed my bike. I was going to take my bike with me to India and leave it in the airport, and then I was going to fly back to Ireland afterwards. And I was really looking forward to it because I haven't been home for a year now. And you know, I was going to just sort out, you know, what I was going to do next in Ireland, maybe save a bit of money. And yeah, that was my plan. So I rolled up all ready to pack my stuff off, and then basically, I don't want to talk about this part too much because this is quite a disaster and very typical to happen to me. But I had basically not planned on taking my bike. I was going to leave it in Sydney and come back to Sydney after India. But then when I realised I couldn't afford to come back to Sydney after India, I was like, I'm just going to have to take my bike with me, leave it in the airport, and then fly, like come back to that airport and fly to Ireland, back to Ireland. So I'll take my bike with me. So it was very much a last minute decision to take my bike. So therefore, when I booked my flights to India months before that, I hadn't booked my bike on. I just booked like one rucksack on because I wasn't going to take that much with me. And long story short, they weighed everything and they were like, this is all counted as excess baggage because it's not booked in with your luggage. It's going to cost you $700 to take your bike with you and your bag. And I was just like, I didn't even know, like, this is the kind of situation where most people like break down like in tears and stuff, and like, you know, don't like kind of, you know, break down and just don't really know what to do next. But I was just like so exhausted at that stage, and if it had been like maybe $300, I think I would have been upset and I would have paid the $300 and I would have just got on with it. But no, I wouldn't have got on with it. I would have been annoyed. But I actually didn't like, I couldn't afford to pay $700. Like, I couldn't afford to pay $700. There's no way. So I just kind of like was like, I just said, oh, sorry, can't take this flight. And I just kind of rolled my trolley and myself away. Sat in the corner and rang all my friends in Sydney and was like, guys, like, this is what's happened. And they were just like, oh my god, only you. So I was like, look, I'm sitting here in an airport at a good chunk of savings from all the work I'd done the past 2 months. So I was like, where do I go? And I rang my parents and I was speaking on the phone with my parents for ages, and my mom was like, oh, you should have just, you know, you should just go to India and then come home afterwards. Like, you're homesick, you should come home. And my dad in the background was like, no. And I was like, my other option is to go to Melbourne and get a job in Melbourne. And, you know, I really wanted to go to Melbourne. I actually would have, my preference was to go from Sydney to India and then to Melbourne. So that was my preference, and my dad thought that I should do that. He said, no, don't waste the rest of your Australian visa. just to go to India for 1 month and then come home. So I spent that night in the airport and I decided I would go to Melbourne, and I did. I booked a ticket to Melbourne. I flew to Melbourne, got here and booked myself into a hostel and started the job hunt and the house hunt, and I got a job waitressing pretty much straight away. And I found, after about 2 weeks, I found a really nice house as well with some really cool roommates. So everything pretty much fell into place straight away. And yeah, lots more videos to come about like all these mad things that have been happening in my life and in my head. So yeah, but everything is very much stable at the moment. There is no house hopping. So guys, thanks for watching that update video. Sorry it was a bit of a ramble, but that's just my style at the moment. Yeah, I will see you in the next video, and hopefully they will be more consistent now. That is my plan. That is the plan. So yeah, hope you all have a great day, great evening, great morning, and yeah, I'm out. See you later.